Little blue-ringed octopus. Just sitting under this rock. This is one of the most venomous creatures on Earth, and we've found him out in these rock pools right here. This is something that we can't mess around with, because if I'm bitten, within about 10 minutes, I'd be laying down on the bank, fully paralyzed. Yeah, all the way out here, you're not surviving a bite from this species of octopus. But luckily enough for me, we have a plastic container. There we go. Take a look at that. Just down there. He's just a little fella. So this is actually a blue-lined octopus. One of 4 species of blue-ringed octopus. Take a look at that. I'm shaking right now, but we got him in this container. You know, these blue-ringed octopus right here have 8 legs, 3 hearts, blue blood, can change colors to match their surroundings, and have one of the most toxic venoms on Earth. They were probably little organisms on an asteroid millions of years ago and landed out in the ocean and have evolved into these creatures. I wouldn't doubt it. So what happens if you're bitten by the blue-ringed octopus, one of the most venomous creatures on Earth? Most people who get bitten by this species don't even realize that they've been bitten until they start feeling the effects within the first 5 to 10 minutes, because it's said to be pretty much a painless bite. There'll be numbness around the bite site, you might feel a bit nauseous, you'll get dizzy, and what that's doing is it's slowly paralyzing you. It can kill about 20 adult men within half an hour. So yeah, if I was bitten on this remote coastline right here, by the time I actually got to help and got back, even if I did get a call away, you know, I don't think I'd be surviving this one. Pretty cool species though. Take a look at that right there. This is a massive snake. This is what we were looking for out here in the jungle of Borneo. Are you kidding me right now? Look how big this animal is. We'll just bring him back out into a bit of a better place. So this right here is a massive king cobra out here in the jungle of Borneo. And he's looking at me right now. He was just eyeing off my cameraman. This is a species that you do not want to get bitten by all the way out here. The largest venomous snake in the world. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to pick it up at the moment. This big snake. And what I want to show you is the reason why people can kiss these snakes on the back of the head and touch them is because they go into a trance-like state when they're fixated on something right in front of it. So he's fixated on my guide at the moment, and what I'm gonna do is slowly pick it up, being very careful. Oh, take a look at that. You're all right, buddy. Big king cobra out here in the jungle of Borneo. Look at that. That is a magnificent snake, and a snake big enough to take down an elephant with the amount of venom that it carries in its venom glands, and a snake big enough to take down 20 of me. You can't get bitten by this snake out here. Highly venomous species. But a beautiful animal. An absolutely amazing animal. And this experience right here is what I wanted to have. Coming to the wildlands of Borneo, out here in the jungle, looking for these snakes, looking for orangutans, looking for all these animals. And I'm gonna remember this moment right here, but gotta be very careful. All right, buddy. A 5-meter king cobra, the biggest venomous snake in the world, and a magnificent one at that. Can't even fit my hands around it, this snake's so big. I'm gonna put him back down. What we're about to film right now is something that you do have to be extremely careful of out here in the jungles of Borneo. So I'm just gonna crawl up to him at the moment. So this right here is the saltwater crocodile. we got to take him back at the moment. So I've just decided to chuck him on my shoulder because he actually went a fair way up the river. And we'll walk the big fella back down. Just another day in Borneo. You got that? Yeah.
Okay, one more please. Okay.
Oh. Ada anu kah? Tai kopi. Tai kopi. Kopi anu dulu. Biar darahnya ada.
Should we wash out first or okay?
I
Later.
think it's okay.
Later.
Taruh boleh bang? Aduh, biasa aja. Ada tapi pendarahan. Kuat mah.
Do you think when you wrap the first part, did you clamp it together? Close it?
Yeah, how do you do this?
Ah, yeah. And then you feel good, it's closed. Stonefish, right there. See him sitting on the edge of the mangroves? That is the most venomous fish in the world. All right, I'll pick him up. He'd be sitting here, waiting for fish to cruise past. And yeah, that's a landmine that you do not want to stand on, but how cool is that? We got one. That was one of the species we were looking for out here. All right, I'm gonna find a place to set up my camera so that I can teach you a bit about this fish. You go back down there for now, buddy. All right, and take a look at what I've just caught out in the mangroves right here. That right there is the most venomous fish in the world, the saltwater estuary stonefish. And this is probably the last time that I'm gonna film these stonefish for a while. I absolutely love them. I know a lot of people love them as well, but I don't wanna overdo it. Now these stonefish can actually survive out of water by storing water inside their gills. So me taking them out of the water and teaching you about them right now isn't hurting this fish at all. They're intertidal animals, so sometimes they can get trapped in little rock pools that dry up and have to survive until the next high tide. And they're also one of the most beautiful looking fish in the whole world. Got a bit of a head like a half-sucked mango, but that's all right, mate. Responsible for an average of about 700 to 1,000 stings a year here on the east coast of Australia. Now, how these stonefish sting you is from these dorsal spines at the top there. They have 13 running all the way down the back of their body with 2 venom sacs on each of them. And people don't realize how common they are. These guys are everywhere over the east coast, so I think it's good that I can raise a bit of awareness, because if a kid stood on this fish, it would be seriously bad. So let's pretend this is your foot putting downwards pressure onto this stonefish spine. There's a foot full of one of the most painful venoms in the world getting put into your body, which is now pretty much just exploding cells. But yeah, it's an incredibly painful sting. Some say it's worse than standing on Lego. And these stonefish are masters at camouflage. As you can see, they look exactly like a stone, and they use this for hunting. They'll lie in ambush waiting for a little fish to swim past, strike out, grab it in their mouth and swallow it alive. That fish will still be alive when it goes into the stonefish's stomach. So this, climbing up towards my finger right now, is the deadliest spider here in Australia. And when I say deadliest, there's species that are more venomous than it, but it's caused the most deaths here in Australia because of how common they are. And you can see why they call them the redback spider, because of this red strip on the abdomen. And this is a big female. The females are the only ones that are dangerous. The males are much smaller than this. Because no, they're not as venomous as, let's say, the funnel web spider, but they are so common that a lot of people get bitten around this country. They're actually responsible for the most bites out of any venomous species here in Australia. He's just crawling along my hand. I'm trying to talk and stay focused at the same time, but they're awesome. They're so cool. Big female, this one, and I do not recommend, I do not think anyone should ever try this. If I got bitten here, it'd be completely my fault. But the amazing thing about these female redback spiders, I'm gonna let her drop down on my hand, is the females don't actually have to eat for up to 300 days, which is why they're turning up in places overseas, because they get on the big freight containers, on the big ships, and even if they're locked in a box with no food for that time, they can still survive and get anywhere all around the world. Once mating with a male redback spider, she's able to reproduce for the next 2 years thousands of baby redbacks, which is pretty cool. And I do have to know my limits. I do know that eventually if I keep handling this spider, I will get bitten. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put her back on her rock and let her be before she climbs somewhere I can't see her. What is that? Yep, we got him. Big cod. Yes, we got another fish. We'll quickly kill him. After getting that flathead this morning, I was pretty confident that we could get something else. The tide's fully pushed out right now, but as it was pushing out, I spotted this little fella sitting in the mangroves. He was actually hunting, and that's what these fish are doing on the outgoing tide. So yeah, I got the primitive spear out, got a good shot on him, and that right there is a little cod, and that right there is gonna be our dinner. Now the legal limit for these guys is 38 centimeters, and this guy is 41, so a couple centimeters over. I always think it's funny that I never know what I'm getting myself into when I come out here. I guess I should have known I was gonna be waist deep in mud, walking around creeks with crocodiles in it. Wouldn't expect anything less from me. I might make a fire tonight and cook him up. So I am currently by myself deep in the southwest of Tasmania, following recent reports of the believed to be extinct Tasmanian tiger. And over the next 3 days, I'm going to attempt to track one down. If you don't know what a Tasmanian tiger is, it's an animal that used to thrive all across Australia, especially here in the forests of Tasmania. But after being hunted heavily throughout the 18 and 1900s, the last Tasmanian tiger died in captivity in 1936, and they haven't been seen since. But are they really gone? Last week, I interviewed a lady who saw a Tasmanian tiger in 1972, 40 years after the last one was seen.
Okay, so we were living in this town called Medina, which is between your Norfolk and Strathgordon. And Strathgordon is on the way, you go past Lake Pedder. It was a winter, it was a flaming freezing, all but snowing night. Wind was blowing, it was howling, and we had a little pup, golden lab, and this little pup just was going off its tree. I opened the window, I said, oh, there's a weird looking dog out there. He said, what do you mean a weird looking dog? And I said, well, it's got this weird tail. Its tail was straight and it had stripes on its back, and Bruce shot up like a, and by the time Bruce got up, this thing was sauntering. It was up a bit of a driveway, was on a bit of a rise, and the bush is directly behind us. We're surrounded by bush, and it just sauntered, no fastness, just sauntered back up our driveway and disappeared into the bush. But they're such an elusive creature that they will just live in obscurity for, and who knows how long. You know, they're not seen.
Yeah. I think the best case scenario would be there's a small population of these tigers living out in the forests of Tasmania away from humans. And that's why I've come here today. We're going to be going on a bit of a solo expedition over the next 3 days and attempting to track down one of these thylacines. So we're going to check this trail camera that we set up last night to see if we got anything on it. 6 videos. So this trail camera went off 6 times throughout the night. Something went in front of it. Number 1. What is that? Look at its tail. It's literally straight like the Tassie tigers were. Come back into shot. It could be a quoll, but that's pretty cool. The first thing on the camera. And yeah, There we go. It's a quoll just cruising around in front of the camera. That's still so cool to get one of these guys on camera out here in the wild. It would have been the biggest fluke ever if the first thing I got on the game camera was a Tassie tiger. We got some more videos of the quoll just wandering around doing quoll-like activities. Crazy, pretty cool. So throughout the few weeks that I've had here in Tasmania, learning about these thylacines and trying to track one down really made me question if I would put it in the video if I did get one on camera. And I don't think I would. Definitely not just in a video like this anyways. I still have to check that last camera trap though. Big money, right there. So we're just creeping up on this huge mud crab right here. Got to make sure that he doesn't have a hole nearby. All right, I'm gonna get around the back. That is one of the biggest mud crabs I have ever caught. And got to make sure that he doesn't get me. You wouldn't want to get tagged by one of those big claws. Take a look at that, mate. Big Aussie mud crab out here in the mangroves. Look at the size of that claw. That is awesome. So this is exactly what we came out to the mangroves to find. And that's gonna be enough dinner for me and my mate, but we might keep hunting around after this, see what else we can catch. So cool coming out to the mangroves and catching a feed like this. Now I'm gonna try to do this all in one take. Might take a while to get him, but just to show that it's real. So you put your hand just under the mud and you need to determine which way the crab is facing. All right, got him. Yes! Look at that right there. That was the mud crab sitting down that hole. And we did it in one take. Look at, he's trying to go back into it. You're not getting back down there, mate. Take a look at that. Second mud crab out here in the mangroves. How good is that? We got a big feed for lunch. Now I've been coming out here into the mangroves since I was about 10 years old. I've always been so fascinated with coming out here and catching crabs with my bare hands, tracking them down. And it's good to see in a place like this that is an overcrabbed area that you can still get big crabs in here. But that's absolutely awesome, mate. You can see the tide behind us coming up. We've got a feed of crabs. But I wanted to show this orangutan that I would much rather be living out here with them than back in the city. So after spotting a highly venomous snake way up in the canopy a few trees away from her, I knew it'd be the perfect opportunity to test out my climbing skills. So you can see, just up in this tree, big pit viper. So cool, big fella. Got a nice blue color on him. Feel like an orangutan up here. All right, I'm gonna come back down. Yes. There we go. He's much crazier than me. Good job. There is a big male orangutan just walking out right now. This is what I wanted to see. He is massive. What's his name? Roger? Roger. See those massive cheek pads that he's got? They're a very plate-faced animal. The more bananas that this guy eats today, the bigger they're gonna get. And this big male is probably about 35 years old, living out here in the wild, and he's the dominant male. If another one wants to come into this area and eat all of those bananas and take all of his females, he's gonna have to fight Roger for it. And it's my time to shine. If I don't come back, I'm gonna be living out here, living like a king. Now, Roger would be so much stronger than me. And they're very intelligent creatures too. They've even been seen using sticks and rocks as tools out here in the rainforest.
Sawing the wood and also paddling on the boat So
The orangutans
the
do all that.
orangutans do that.
Soar and paddle on the boat.
Yeah, pedal.
They mimic.
And also walking on the ground, like with 2 feet.
Yeah, they copy us.
Yeah, copy us.
They can definitely speak as well, they just don't want to pay taxes. But yeah, this is a pretty crazy experience seeing these animals in person. We're gonna watch Roger for a bit and the other orangutans that are feeding in this area. And yeah, just see these beautiful animals up close. We'll change the lens and get some really good shots of them. All right, take a look at this right here. Look at that snake. That is an inland taipan, a fierce snake, the most venomous snake on earth. And what's amazing to me is actually finding this snake on foot. Now I'm out here by myself filming this 3-day survival video, so there is no chance that I'm getting anywhere near this snake. So these snakes right here live within the cracks in the ground, and they only come out early mornings and late afternoons, sometimes throughout the night, because it's so hot out here in the desert. Now, being the most venomous snake in the world, you'd think that a lot of people would have died from getting bitten by this species. But since they're actually considered a rare snake and they're so hard to find, generally they're not aggressive, they won't go and attack people, there's been no deaths recorded from this snake species. Now, over the years, and even last year, there was a couple bites that happened out in this area. But generally, the only people who get bitten by these snakes are people who go looking for them. So generally, those people know the risks in coming out here. But yeah, just the patterns on this snake and that jet black head. They actually change colors seasonally. In winter, they're a much darker color. At the moment, as it's coming into summer, they lighten up. And if there's one thing I've learned over the years, dealing with the deadliest animals in the world, is you can't get complacent. Complacency kills, especially in a place like this. You know, it's one thing coming out here when you've got other people who can treat you with first aid. But if I was bitten by this inland taipan out here, there's almost no chance that I'm surviving. It's a scary thing to think. Even if I got back to the car after applying first aid, you know, driving hours back into the closest town, you'd probably end up feeling real dizzy, pass out behind the wheel, and that would be it. Now, a lot of the time, certain species of snakes will do something called a dry bite, where they'll bite you, but they won't actually inject any venom. Taipans are not known for that. Taipans are known, most of their bites will actually inject venom. So, you know, you might be really lucky, but I wouldn't be relying on that if you're bitten by this snake out here. I think this is really special, hey? Like, just this moment walking with such an amazing animal. He's out here doing his own thing, trying to find food, living in the cracks, warming himself up for the day. I feel very blessed that I'm able to hang with him for just a short amount of time. To have this kind of experience for this long with this snake is amazing, because generally when you see them, they'll shoot right back down the cracks that they came up. But the weird thing about this guy is there's cracks all through this area, but he's choosing to go over this way. The inland taipan, the fierce snake, the most venomous snake in the world. And we've got one sitting right in front of us here. See you later, mate. So what type of frog is it?
False swamp toad.
False swim toad?
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
I'll
say the first one. So we've
Okay.
just spotted a false swim toad. This is a really big animal sitting up in this tree right here. We're above crocodile water, but I might climb up here and see if I can grab him. I'll chuck the GoPro on.
Okay, I'm here.
Oh, good boy.
I prefer to jump.
Okay.
Correct. Because this type of frog is more lazy during the day.
Got him.
Yeah!
Whoa! He is massive. Here.
Yeah, okay. Watch his foot on that little.
There you go. Oh my god. That is crazy. That is such a cool looking animal.
That's the one that my wife loves it.
Yeah.
Oh really?
We
The
take
false
it home
swim
for-
toad.
Swamp. SSWAMP.
Swamp.
Oh,
False
swamp.
swamp.
Right. So it's actually called the false swamp toad. I got the name wrong of it, but that is a crazy looking animal right there. Such a cool catch as well. So you can see those webbed feet at the back there, used for swimming. And these big toads are actually feeding on insects mostly, but seeing as they get to this big size, they can also feed on lizards and other things like that as well. Well, that's such a crazy looking animal to find out here on this little boat trip in Borneo.
And all the animals come to the river.
Oh. Not yet, mate. We'll let you go soon. Look at that. As the tide's pushing out, the deeper water is just over there. And he's just sitting in this little stream. All right, I'm just crawling through the mud here. Take a look at him. He is massive. He is definitely a legal crab, definitely a male. No hole nearby, we've got him. This is gonna be my dinner right here. I'm actually gonna go out camping with some mates later on. And we're gonna cook him up. They're gonna be absolutely stoked that I got him. Oh, he's nearly getting me. All right, mate. And that right there is a big Australian mud crab out here in the mangroves. We're so deep in the mangroves at the moment, but that right there is gonna be our dinner. Take a look at the size of those claws, they're massive. Whoa. Whoa. Nearly got me, mate. Up here in Queensland, we call those big claws Queensland lollipops. And they'll break your fingers, mate. They are so powerful, which is why you gotta be so careful with big crabs like this. But we're gonna take them out at the moment. We've got food. We've caught a couple species, no stingrays yet, but I'd take catching a crab like this over catching a stingray any day. That's awesome. All right, we gotta get out of these mangroves. All right, we're down at this creek. It's crazy to think that there's sharks swimming past right now. We're gonna head out there and see if we can swim with a couple of them. So I've been snorkeling around for a while. I haven't actually seen any sharks yet, but that's all right. We're gonna keep going until we find one. I know that there's sharks around here. I know that there's sharks watching me as I'm swimming past. And I was swimming around, I can only see about half a meter in front of me. And from the depths, out comes a little juvenile bull shark checking me out. This is when I feel most alive, when I'm doing things like this. And I'm so grateful that I can come out here and share this whole experience with you. But I'm not gonna push my luck. I know these animals are potentially dangerous, and I know if I keep swimming around, splashing around in the water, it's just not a good thing to do when you're by yourself. So I'm gonna call it a night. Bit of a quick night snorkeling session, but definitely the most memorable night snorkel I've ever done. Are you kidding me? Dude! That is probably a 4.5 meter crocodile. And you know what? If I can get a good look at his tail, this could even be the same croc that we filmed a few months ago. It's in the same stretch of river. And this is in the shallow rapids that we were walking up today. This is so good to show people to not get complacent, because These crocs are everywhere. Look at the size of this stream that he's sitting in. That is crazy. We're gonna let him be and keep going on our night, but that's why we come here, to have experiences like this and teach people about crocs. How cool is that? These freshwater crocodiles are just sitting on the bank up here. So I'm just gonna jump up here, creep up on them, and hopefully film some. You can see on this rocky bar right here, there's a freshwater crocodile around 2 meters right there. There's another one behind it, one over there, 2 right there. All across this little rocky area is a bunch of freshwater crocodiles. There's a big one out there. Take a look at that. Now, just because these are freshwater crocodiles and they're not the dangerous species that lives up here in the top end, doesn't mean for a minute that you should feel safe going near the water's edge. Because the reason that these freshwater crocodiles are sticking up here in the shallows is the same reason why you shouldn't get close to the water. Because in the deeper section, just up the river, there's big salties. No doubt there's a 4+ meter male sitting in that section up there, scaring all these little crocodiles down to this area. A big 5 meter saltwater crocodile would tear apart a little freshie like this. And the name freshwater crocodile and saltwater crocodile is pretty misleading because the salties can live in fresh water as well. Matter of fact, this section of river right here is fully fresh water. But yeah, how crazy is that? We literally just started filming this episode and I've already seen 30 or 40 crocs. Come back down here later tonight, go for a bit of a night walk, see if we can see any crocs after dark, catch some bait down here, bring it back to camp and go fishing. I'm sure all these freshies will be staying here, especially after dark. We should be able to see 30 or 40 eyes shining at us. So we've just made it down to the creek, which I know has big crayfish in it, and I'm just looking around the shallows. I've seen a couple little ones, but what we're looking for is the really big ones, like the one that I caught last time I was out here. Already big one right there. He's a big fella. I'll see if there's any others before I spook him. You can see him just moving down there. That's exactly what we're looking for. There we go. Look at that. That is what we want. Big red claw crayfish in the outback. I might just chuck him in this little pool. Oh, missed him. There we go. Take a look at that. Massive red claw crayfish. Add him to my collection. Look at that. That's not bad at all, mate. You guys stay here. Big one. This creek is crazy. Look at that. That's probably the biggest one of the day, honestly. And just like that, we got him. Oh, I just splashed the camera. We've only got the biggest ones left, but look at that. A bunch of really nice sized red claw crayfish. And this is gonna be my dinner right here. There'd be so many more I could catch in this creek, which is good to know if I come back here and decide to film a survival video. But mate, take a look at that. They're like my pets crawling around with me.